Well, before we
Brian,
do a
you're
docu
insane.
recap, I do want to talk about CBU and what is the vibe that you got just being in that space right now? Obviously, the duel was at Mount Sac. It wasn't at the CBU, their event center, but CBU is hosting West Virginia. Was there a pretty good turnout?
Packed, both sides of the stands in Mount Sac. There's 7 to 10 rows on each side of the gym. And then all the dignitaries, all the VIPs are mat side. There's 4 rows deep. Head of USA Wrestling, Bruce Baumgartner was there. Yaru, he runs Beat the Streets. So all the donors and the dignitaries for Beat the Streets were there. And with the gym packed, everybody had a sign or a shirt that said hashtag save CBU wrestling. And those were passed out. And a really cool thing in solidarity in the introductions, West Virginia came out and they were wearing the shirt and they wanted to
Awesome.
support. There was a little bit of a silent protest that went on during the match. Each of the CBU wrestlers had their singlets turned inside out and wrestled that way. But a really nice crowd at that event. West Virginia traveled over. Now they beat CBU, but the crowd was very much intact. They were up for wrestling, and they saw why Southern California should have a D1 school.
It seemed like from things that I've talked to a couple different people, but it seems like it's very much the administration gave them really no explanation other than this is how we want to move forward as an athletic department. But in my mind, it's a Christian university. Obviously, wrestling is a biblical sport, but at the same time, it's like your aim, your mission as a Christian school is to be develop character and provide opportunities for people to grow spiritually as well as academically. And I I think it's I don't want to use the word perverted, but I think it's pretty jacked up. That there's no path to this is how we fix it or this is how we can work with it. I mean, hey, let it give them an opportunity to fight or give them an opportunity to be self-funded. You
Yeah,
know,
and that's the speculation that we really haven't got too much word on it. But from everything that we've heard, they went in the budget meeting and things were talked and said, hey, we're cutting this program, diving, swimming, golf, wrestling, and we'll honor your scholarship if you want to stay. We'll help you on the transfer portal if you need to, but we're not taking any questions. That's just what's going to happen. So I don't know if they're going to entertain some situation. There was a little bit of a scuttlebutt of some sort of lawsuit going out, but not sure what that's going to do. Whether the university keeps the program or not, Southern California is definitely it's been a tough wound for sure.
Can I interject and ask what was the saving grace when Stanford was going through their thing? What was it, 7 or 8 years back? I mean, they were on the chopping block and then they weren't. What was the change?
well, it was like I think 4 years ago, right? It was 2021, I guess 5 years ago.
Oh yeah, I'm way
Um,
off. Yeah, sorry.
So there was a couple things that happened. It was a similar situation where basically the administration was just like, "Hey, we're cutting these sports," and the turnaround was basically all those different sports came together, and it was like rowing, sailing, I think field hockey. I think there was a few other sports, and then wrestling, and they all came together and there was protests, and I think there was a large amount of pushback. And I think basically the supporters of those different sports all came together and were very loud to the point where yeah they pushed back pretty hard. And I
And I
think
think that needs to happen again.
it
It's
seems
got
like
to be
it's a
a
similar
community.
situation here.
Yep. And
So
it's got
it
to be
was
a community.
grassroots.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Was there a couple of big donors that stepped in? Because money talks, obviously, and it always comes down to money. Or
See,
was
and
it
I heard
really
they
just
had,
a loud enough voice and enough pushback? Because I doubt that was the only thing.
I
I
saw and I
don't think
read
it's a
that
money thing.
they had their $40 million endowment. So I don't think it's a money issue. Uh, I mean, maybe it is. Maybe that they don't want, they're not bringing in enough revenue to where they want to allocate those funds to other sports. That's on them. I think it was just a call from a budget standpoint, or I don't know, because it just wasn't wrestling. Obviously, with golf and diving and swimming, but I don't know. But it was electric in that gym today, and everybody had their shirts, their black and white shirts that said "Save CBU Wrestling." Alumni came out. It was a packed house for sure.
I'll say one more thing, and this is something that I've heard from a couple different people that were involved with what happened at Stanford. It was more than just a money thing. They kind of said, "Hey, we want to redistribute the funds to allocate for this growing landscape, whatever the jargon is that they say now." But when it came to, "Hey, well, let's fundraise for it. Hey, like let's cover the cost of the program," and they shut it down. For when I hear that, it sounds like it's something else. And what was happening at Stanford was a little bit of there were some admission scandals that were taking place where, hey, I'm going to donate X amount of money and my kid's going to get in. And the way that I'm going to get in is through sports. And it's going to allow me to have a little bit of a bypass to get into the school. Now,
I forgot
CBU is
about
not
that. Yeah.
as academically rigorous as a Stanford. But if you look at when we visited a couple of years ago, CBU's changed a lot. Like they have new facilities when it comes to recovery for athletics and also supporting academics. Their wrestling room hasn't been updated, but they got this beautiful new event center. They have a new rec center with a soccer field on top of it, made of turf. Like it was a pretty cool thing that, and a lot of our high school kids and their families that went on that little, kind of informal tour, got to see all that stuff, and we were all pretty dang impressed at how things have grown. And from what I've heard as well, a lot of money is kind of being put into CBU right now to where they're actually buying property around the campus and they're turning into like student housing, student apartments, things like that. So I don't know. I feel like when there is some money stuff going in, um, I'm not going to make any accusations, but it does sound a little bit of what was happening at Stanford from things that I've heard.
We're gonna know here in the next couple months when things come out and they kind of figure that out. But they got to push through. Those wrestlers were focused today, and hopefully they can push through and get to the postseason, get a couple qualifiers, and get it on the national stage.
Absolutely.
They have an
Yeah,
elite Poway kid, right? One of the top
Yeah.
kids in the country went there.
Paul
Yeah,
Kelly's
Paul.
there.
Paul Kelly. I wanted to say Paul Kenny for some reason. Paul Kelly.
Jesse Vasquez is there as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they got a couple of really strong kids. Mario from Canyon Springs is there. He had a
Uh-huh.
really tough match today. Lost right at the end, but Vasquez won his match. Paul Kelly won his match. But yeah, they got a couple good California kids, and it's just a bummer. A bummer that another D1 school in California decides to close its doors.
And they're relatively how long have they been D1 for? 5 years
3 years
maybe?
maybe.
Three,
Yeah. 3.
3 years.
Jeez. Grand opening, grand closing.
But really competitive as a Division II school, very competitive as a NAIA school. And when Zaleski was the head coach, I think he was very instrumental in helping CBU become a Division I program and then starting that transition. And then Coach Moore has done a really good job in developing guys, and I think in not just developing but also recruiting. Like they've got a couple guys in the transfer portal last couple years, but then also have been a pull for a lot of Southern section and San Diego kids. So I don't know. I see it like when I heard that, it felt like we were in at Sonora when I heard that. It felt like like if CCB was cutting their program again, like how would I feel? And I'd be pretty fired up. So I feel bad for obviously all the alumni that have been there, but also for the kids that are on the team.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
Coach Moore is the best part of his games is recruiting. Let us not forget one Mitchell Messenbrink was
Yeah.
committed.
And he goes out and then makes the world team and does his thing and then decides to go to Penn State. But
I mean, props for him for finding that diamond in the rough before anybody else did.
yeah, yeah, I
I
got
mean,
to
he's
talk to
he's
him
had some monster recruiting classes, relatively.
relatively.
Yeah.
We talked today for about 5, 10 minutes and just he wants to push forward and get through the season and let administration do their job. But right now he's got to get those boys focused and ready for conference and hopefully get some qualifiers to go out to nationals.
That's probably the right call. I mean, you can't take away from the development part. The only other side is obviously, recruiting and stuff like that. It's like, well, can't really be recruiting right now because you can't promise anything right now.
Nope. Nope.
Dang. Jeez,
Crazy.
that's a tough spot to be in. Yeah.